On behalf of the state AFL-CIO and President Dennis Hughes, I want to send his regards to all of you and say hello. He'd be very impressed with the turnout here today. This is fantastic. As you all know, we have some very difficult times, and we've been working very close with the area labor federations and the CLCs, as well as all of the individual affiliates, on the overall budget problems that we're having in the state, as well as a lot of the specific issues that affect all of you. And one of the things we're still finalizing is an overall revenue message. We've all been very disappointed, as I'm sure you all have, at the response that the state legislature and the governor have made to the crisis that we're having in the economy. Everyone seems to be shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, we have to cut. We can't do any revenue, we can't raise any more taxes, that just hurts business, and we can't do any more to hurt business. And we don't have anyone asking the real hard questions out there, most specifically about Wall Street and how they have made record profits last year. Not just profitable, but record profits. More than any other year in the history of Wall Street, they made in profit last year. The unfortunate thing is those profits aren't trickling down into investments in jobs in the economy, and as you'll hear more about throughout today and throughout the next several months, Main Street is suffering while Wall Street is thriving. And we have to figure out a way to get Wall Street to the table, and to do that we're going to need leadership from both the governor and the Assembly and the Senate. Excuse me. So that, good luck, Mary just said it. Well, that's part of what we're talking about. We do have, so what are we doing? What can we all do together? You'll have the 5-point plan, which is really going to be the crux. That's going to be the grassroots field plan. We are working with the affiliates, and on Monday, actually, we're hoping to finalize it. We plan to go out on Susie's here out back. She's coordinating this with the affiliates and New Yorkers for Fiscal Fairness on developing an advertising campaign to go out and start putting pressure on our state legislators that you have to start looking at a more fair tax and revenue system, even if it's only temporary. And we do have several ideas. A stock transfer tax, which has been rejected by both houses. We're looking at a single sales tax factor, which would limit what companies can report in revenue outside of the state that they actually earn in the state. It's just a way to pass on their tax liability to other states that have lower rates. And there's a number of other programs looking at all of the economic development programs that do not reward job creation and union jobs. And we all know there's a lot of those out there, from Empire Zones to IDAs, and I know you'll hear more about that today. So those are some of the key components that we're looking at as an overall budget picture and try to restore fairness into this process. Because as you know, it's been extremely frustrating dealing with these people well, forever, really, right? We've been working also very specifically on a lot of the safety and health programs that all of the individual affiliates are. I see Sue and Penny over there, the facilitated enrollment for the child care programs, one of the priorities, as well as a lot of the programs that go through the Workforce Development Institute, which are used by a lot of the affiliates. They were all virtually eliminated from the budget. Both houses did just do one house proposals, and they restored a significant amount of that funding, but not all of it. So we do have a lot of work to do. We have our work cut out for us. If you do have individual programs like that you're working on, and you would like support of the AFL-CIO, we would be glad to do that. You need to let us know. We think we've got everything covered, but just in case, if you're hearing that your program has not been restored, certainly flag me down or get to Kathleen, and we've been working very closely with Kathleen as well. And the only advice we can give on these programs, whether they're grants or appropriations or what have you, is be prepared to take more cuts. We're going to have more cuts this year. Really, the strategy has to be to keep your program alive, don't get zeroed out, and live to fight another day. Because as bad as it is this year, next year is the same thing, maybe worse. We're looking at least another $9 billion next year on top of the $9 billion in this current year. And as you know, they're coming after our hides. They are making proposals on the economic development side. Let's take SUNY, for example, to create public-private partnerships to give all kinds of contracting flexibility. But do they require a prevailing rate? No. Do they require PLAs? No. And all of you know here, if we don't get those labor languages stipulated in the law, well, we have to come back begging again 6 months later when the contractors or developers or whoever they're using comes in and say, well, we don't have to use union labor. We ran into it on AMD, we ran into it on Orange County Medical Center, on specific projects, as well as the overall state projects like the Dormitory Authority, Empire Zones, or what have you. And they're just trying to move forward with those type of programs without providing the appropriate labor protections. Everyone knows what's happening to the public employees. There's an article in today's paper complaining about how much the 4% raise is going to cost effective on April 1st. And there's hundreds of millions of dollars in savings in the budget that at least this time they're acknowledging they should negotiate. In the past, they've usually just tried to ram it down our throats, but let's not, be too optimistic because I'm sure the ramming will come. And on top of the contractual concessions they're looking for from the public employee unions, there are steep cuts to the education and local governments. So no one is exempt here. Healthcare, you go right down the list. This is all the programs and the jobs that everyone in this room provides. And I can't think of any other time in the past where we need to work together and be real close on all of these programs, because what it all comes down to is all of us are going to suffer some pain this year and next year. It's a matter of, do we keep our programs alive, and do we send a collective message to the legislators that we are not going to tolerate you taking this on the backs of working families while Wall Street gets off scot-free. And that's exactly what is happening here. So we applaud you all for being here. We know we'll continue to count on your support, and we look forward to working with all of you. And if, as always, if there's anything that we can do to help out, we'll be glad to. Thank you very much for having me here today.